Welcome back to another episode of the Steven and Steven Show. I'm Steven, and I'm joined by,
I'm I'm Steven. I'm Steven with a PH, not a
and this
V.
is not a V, neither one of us.
Yeah.
I got called, I had somebody the other day that literally responded to an email where my name said PH and they put a V while talking to it. And I'm like,
That
come on.
happens to me regularly.
Yeah.
And I
You're not
actually
even
think,
trying at this point.
I'm sure that when people read your name, they frequently pronounce it Stefan. Am I right?
Yeah.
And
Stefan?
I
No.
I blame Steph Curry for this because
Oh,
he
yes.
mispronounces our name.
Ugh.
But he's such a pop culture icon that people think that's what that name is. That's how
Mhm.
it's pronounced. So I blame
Yeah.
you, Steph, or should
You're
I
horribly
say
wrong.
Steve?
Yeah. Although I do have to say this, I did go by Steph in college. Not
What?
proud of not proud of that. But my first trip away from home to the new college and playing on the college basketball team. Have I not told you this story
No,
before?
this is brand new information to me. You went by
Oh
Steph in
man.
college?
I need you to know something. There's a group of probably like 150 people on the planet who, when they have memories of me, their memory is of Steph Hale. That's a real thing that exists. There
Oh
are real
my
people that are out
gosh.
there.
That's
I went
breaking
I
news.
it's huge breaking news. I went to college and there was another guy on my basketball team that his name was Stevan.
No,
Stevan.
that's not a thing.
And I don't understand this because we called him Bam Bam, which but Stevan, my my basketball coach, I remember him. He was from Wagner, Oklahoma. He's still a good friend of mine. He's a black guy, so we didn't look anything alike. And my coach could not figure out how to say Stevan. He would read his name and say Stev. My
I
coach
feel
at the
like I
time,
would settle on Stevan. I feel like that would
you'd
be
think, right?
the right
But
pronunciation for that.
the problem was is because he confused his name, my
With your
coach
well,
just called me Stev. And I was like, I
Stev
he called me Stev, like
instead of Steph,
former,
he called you Stev.
and yeah,
Like
and so I don't know why. I think I was just like, it was the first time away from home and all the new kids and new stuff and everything. So people were like, "What's your name?" And I was like, "Steph." And they were like, "Okay." And then nobody argued with me, and then I just went that way. And
oh
then
my
next thing you know, I had
gosh.
professors that were calling me Steph, and it was weird. So it was one of those things that I'm like, I really need to let that go. That
Here's
is
the
not.
thing. I I hate it, but it's better than Steve. No offense to your
Yeah,
dad.
none
I just
taken. I don't like
I
that
would
name.
never allow someone to call me Steve. Although
No.
for a brief period of time back in my preteen years, I did call myself Steve Shelton online
It's even
because
worse because you have a double S. Steve
well,
Shelton.
yeah, here's the thing. I was uh I was a frequent contributor to a couple of professional wrestling message boards, and I really wanted to be taken
Of course you
seriously
were.
by the older guys. So I just thought that being called Steve made me sound older. So
It's better
I went
than
by
Steven.
Steve Shelton. Yeah. So there's a whole group of people from a message board on the internet from like 97 who have some memories of Steve Shelton.
They're
So
talking they're talking today about Steve Shelton. They're like, remember that guy who used to talk about Bam Bam Bigelow?
how old was
And
he?
yeah, Steve Shelton. I don't know. He was some guy in his like late 40s. He was a nerd.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
cared too much.
I remember so much detail of that season of my life where I
Yeah.
only had English speaking friends on the internet. It's it's
Were these the
troubling.
Panama days?
Yeah. Yeah. And
Wow.
I did have some English speaking friends. I guess it's an exaggeration to say I had no English speaking friends except on the internet. But this is when the internet was just, I mean, I'm talking about like 96, 97.
New internet.
When you had a
Chat
limited
room
amount of
internet.
hours available
Yeah.
for the internet, like you think you think you're like old school because you remember before texting was unlimited. I remember before we had unlimited internet access. You had a certain
Yeah.
amount of time slash like megabytes per what it's a different world. It's a different world. We couldn't be
I
doing
rem
this.
I know for a fact I got grounded one time because I uploaded a picture of myself
Oh my god.
just to the internet and wasted our data plan for the internet. And it
Do
was
you
like,
remember? Do
you
you
have to
remember
think
what
about the other people in
speed?
this family.
Do you remember what speed your modem was? I remember we had a
couldn't-
33.6K modem and
Yeah, I
feeling
couldn't
like
tell you.
we were above par
Yeah.
because all those other losers had 28.8 and it was like, psh, oh, you're still the 28.8 modem? No. And then 56K came out. I was like, Dad, we got to get a 56K modem. It's like, why? So you can post more messages on wrestling forums, you idiot. Like,
Yeah, duh.
go outside, make a real friend.
But nevertheless, we survived through
Yeah.
that. I
Here
also
we
remember
are.
too, there were times where I like picked up the phone while my dad was on the internet and it kicked him off. And then it
Yes.
would
Yes.
do it.
And the
What is
drama
your
that
problem?
ensued.
Yeah. You're
Yeah.
only
I-
thinking of yourself. There's other people in this house that you have to be considerate of.
This is my last story about this, and it's unrelated but sort of related. When I worked at AT&T in like 2006, I want to say.
When
Of
I met
course,
you, you were working for AT&T.
yes, that was my second tenure at AT&T
Mm.
in like 2010, 2011. In 2006, I worked at AT&T, and I mean, sold an iPhone to LaDainian Tomlinson. Did you know that? Ever told you that?
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. LT
Why was
one of my
he
first
in-
customers. He's from Waco.
Oh, he's from Waco. Well, that makes
Yeah.
sense. That's cool.
Yeah. Okay, so
Put in your memory bank.
data was like completely different then, right?
Mhm.
So we had this woman come into our store because she, and I'll never forget it. I wasn't the salesman helping her, but it very soon involved all of us because she had a cell phone bill that had like legitimately $30,000 in data charges
Oof.
because her grandson had tethered her Motorola Razor to a
Imagine.
computer and downloaded Spider-Man on Napster.
Oh, can you
All-
imagine?
Can you, first of all, is there a more 2005 sentence than what I just said?
He
Motorola
downloaded
Razor
Spider-Man on
Tethered Spider-Man Napster. That, I mean, and she was just devastated because we couldn't.
anyone
help her.
under 21 years old has stopped listening at this point.
Yeah,
They're
like,
just they're
what?
skipping ahead.
What? Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know these words at all. That's good.
That's what it was. It was insane. It was, I can't imagine. I can't imagine being that poor woman, but
I'm so
Yeah.
glad that we don't live there anymore. My kids will never
So do I.
understand the hashtag the struggle.
you know,
Um,
people, have you ever heard somebody say like, "Oh, I wish I was born in a different era. I wish that I was born in the 1950s or the roaring 20s." Not me. I'm glad I live exactly when I live because I
Yeah.
cannot even fathom not having an iPhone. I can't wrap my mind around. I think I'm roughing it because I didn't get the new one for the first time
'Cause
in
I-
7 years.
Yeah, because I skipped the iPhone 14. It's like,
Are you
oh,
sticking
man.
with your 13?
I only do odd numbers. I haven't done an
Huh.
even number since, I don't know, 7, 8, something like that. It was around
So,
that time of the switch. So I rocked
I've
13,
been
so I get the
every
15.
year. I've been every year since the 6. And that's
Oh,
a long
yeah.
time ago. That's 10 years. In fact, I
I've
know it's 10
noticed that
years
there's
because I
not-
remember where I was working and it was before we got married. So
Yeah, I remember. I feel like the jump is no longer justifiable for me to do it every year. Also,
get
since
that.
I'm not a child anymore, I don't break my phones in a year. I'm able to maintain them for 2 years now, and that helps a little bit. So, I
well,
mean,
this is
it
my
what
first
it is.
time having a phone that's not the latest and greatest from Apple. So pray for me.
I
But
will.
what a sacrifice I've made. You know, we got a second
Well,
dog. That was my
I
trade
know
in.
that. A second dog. Wow. Good
Dirk.
for you.
Speaking
Dirk.
of Dirk, here's a segue for you.
Yeah,
The
we're both
basketball
rocking.
season started.
I'm so excited. I cannot tell you. And my team is terrible.
I actually watched some of the Spurs game last night.
Did you?
I did because we got league pass because
Ooh.
my wife is a Lakers fan
Mhm.
and is super committed to watching games this year. She picked a terrible year to be committed to watching Lakers games.
Yeah, this is not a
Like,
good time to be a
we
Laker
literally
fan.
exchange texts every morning like the Lakers lost again. She's like, "What are we gonna do? What do you have to?
Mhm.
What can you? How do you fix this?" I'm like, I don't know. They'll probably, I mean, Darvin Ham will probably lose his job if they lose another one. I think you can't start 0-5 as the coach of the Lakers
It's
and keep your job. That's how I feel about it.
I would agree with you. What a weird year for basketball so far, 5 days into the season. Like 10 teams, my team being one of them, the San Antonio Spurs, are actively tanking, which means you have
But
like
is there what a year to tank? Right?
what a year to
Like,
tank.
I mean,
What a year to tank.
and if Victor Wembanyama is not the most San Antonio Spurs player
I know.
I've ever seen.
He plays for Tony Parker's team over in Europe, so it's like a match made in heaven here. I'm against tanking.
So am I. Did you see Adam Silver talk about maybe adopting the same system that soccer has in Europe? What's it called? Relegation? Yeah.
Yes. Absolutely love that idea. He then, after he said that, then they announced that they're going to show every game of Victor Wembanyama on the new NBA app. So it's like, we really got to de-incentivize tanking. Also, you guys should watch every game possible.
Check him out.
Yeah. In the meantime. Yeah, I love the idea of relegation. The only problem with relegation is there's not another league to relegate them to. You have to,
I mean, the G League.
Are you going to relegate the Utah
Los Angeles Lakers to the G League?
To the G League? I mean, that'd be cool, but I love the idea of relegation. I've also heard somebody say that if there's other ways to prevent tanking, which if anybody doesn't know what tanking is you're losing on purpose. You're purposely losing games so that you get a better draft pick to draft players. So there's ways around it. Like one was you get if you get a top 3 pick more than 3 years in a row, you forfeit your pick. Like you have to be getting better, which makes sense.
Interesting.
If you consider the Sacramento Kings, that last year was their 16th year missing the playoffs. 16 years they have missed the playoffs. Like eventually it's like, what are you guys doing?
Okay, but what do you blame that on? Because I look at the Kings roster and I'm like, it's not the worst. Like,
yeah,
good coach, maybe. Is it? I always thought that their arena was like a positive, like home court advantage for them. I grew up with the Kings teams of Mike Bibby and Peja, and that was in Vladdy's last, C-Web,
Doug Christie,
golly, and I actually really liked those teams. Because I was always just like anti-Eastern Conference. So whoever was coming out of the West, I became a fan of. But what's wrong with the Kings now? Like, how do you do that? How do you miss the playoffs 16 years in a row?
Well, basketball is probably more unique in that sense than any other sport. I think more can happen off the court that can impact a team than anything else. Like football it's 11 versus 11. And then if you really think about it, it's like 22 versus 22 because your offensive players don't play.
Right.
And it doesn't matter if you have to have such cohesion on the field in order to get things like done effectively. Baseball is so many games and there's so many moving parts, and there's really a lot that goes on the field. Like once your roster is constructed, that really is like, now it's just go out and kind of play the game. I know that's not entirely true, but in the NBA, like you can only play 5 guys at a time. You've only got 12 guys on your active roster. Your coaching is way more important. Rotations are way more viable. I mean, maybe your backup, like you think about it, like your best player on a football team is a quarterback. Usually that's what you would hope for. Nobody cares what the backup quarterback is doing, right? Unless the starter gets hurt.
But your backup point guard
is super crucial.
Yeah.
So you not only have to have like good players, but you have to have like a full roster of good players. You also have to have a really good coaching staff that can work with those players every time. But you also have to have an ownership team that's willing to spend money, that's willing to build a roster, and that is also willing to let your roster kind of cook and let it develop. And I think that's always been the Kings' problem is even when they get talent on the court, their coaching is bad. Or when they get their coaching fixed, now their ownership, like for a while, Vlade Divac was like their general manager, their president of basketball
Yeah.
operations. And the guy just did not know what he was doing. He's just, did
Yeah.
they pass on Luka? They took Marvin Bagley over Luka.
A lot of people passed on Luka, who I'm telling you is going to be the most valuable player in the league this year.
He's going to be up there.
I mean, he's a top 3 player in the league, no matter which way you slice it. But I'm just telling you, like,
he's like 23.
I watched that guy play tonight, and I thought, like, yeah, he's like bodying smaller guys.
Yeah,
he's going around bigger guys. He's shooting over everyone.
Yeah.
It's like he's moving in slow motion, though. It's like I can't. You know, when Derrick Rose was first in the league, and we're like, whoa, he's fast. Or even Russell Westbrook, you're like, whoa, De'Aaron Fox. Like, there's these guys that, like, they're moving so fast on the floor. It's like, I don't even see how anybody can get in front of him. Like, your best bet is just maybe get there in time to take a charge. But Luka is like, it's like he's quite the opposite. He lulls you to sleep by these like slow dribbles, and then all of a sudden he's around you, and next thing you know, he's like teardropping it into the rim, or he's like lulled you into sleep, made one good move, has this huge step back, and then he's shooting in your eye, and he makes it, 50% of the time. It's just he's unguardable to me. Like I just don't understand how a team prepares for him.
I also think since watching him play, I don't get the impression that people take him seriously. He doesn't look like he doesn't look like a basketball player. He looks like a guy who should be drinking a bunch of beer playing cornhole.
Yeah. No, he looks like a frat boy.
He's a little bit chubby, and his hair never looks weird, and he's got like, I don't know, his arms don't really bend the right way. And then randomly, he's like just shooting from 30 feet from the basket and making it on a regular basis.
I mean, I know he's like, not American, but he looks like a frat boy who got into Penn because his daddy works at Goldman. You know what I mean? Like he just does not look like he should be playing NBA basketball at that level.
Shout out to all the Penn State alumni.
That was just, it's
true though.
It's hard to prepare for. And he kind of like lulls you, and he's constantly complaining with the refs. But he's also like having the time of his life. I've not had this much fun watching a player since Dirk. I mean,
I would agree. I mean, especially if you're a Mavs fan, like you got to be excited for that. I think it's probably going to be like in like 3 or 4 years, he's going to stop eating cheeseburgers and drinking Diet Coke. And he's going to probably, if he were to start taking care of his body,
bro,
he would be.
Look, all off season, like I've got buddies who are like sending me texts like, yo, Luka looks cut in the gym. I'm like, that's Photoshopped. Like, there's no way
he doesn't look cut in the gym.
There's no way he has like, I mean, no, this is not one of those things.
Yeah.
He just look, he's chubby. He is who he is.
Yeah.
Like he's a 23-year-old with a dad bod, except he's better than LeBron James. So it's a weird thing,
He's an anomaly, and I don't know that we'll ever see somebody. I don't know that we'll ever see something like that again. But the NBA
makes them more endearing, right? Like
that's what makes him fun to watch. Is you're like, oh, he's built just like me. Maybe I could go out and do this.
Exactly.
I mean, it helps that he's 6'7", but still, the NBA is a little weird though, because like a third of the league, maybe more, at least right now, there's at least 10 teams that really don't want to be good. Like they look up at the standings and they're like, yeah, we're not going to do this. So we just need to go out and give like half an effort and make it look like we're trying. Like the other night, the Spurs were down by 8 points with 4 minutes left against the Timberwolves, and they pulled their starters. And I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah,
you guys could win this game.
I was watching that game.
I was like, we're 5 games into the season. What are you doing?
Just like, you guys have got Gobert and Karl Anthony Towns in there.
We're done.
The scrubs in.
We're done. So there's teams like that. Then you have like 10 teams at the top who are really they're like
championship contenders.
Yeah, there's a lot of talent that's spread across. I think in the past we probably had maybe like 2 or 3 teams from each conference that you're like, oh, this team could win the championship. And this year you have like legitimately probably 5 teams in each conference.
I was looking at it today and I was like, there's 8 to 12 teams that I could legitimately see in the finals.
And then the fun part is those teams in the middle, which are all over the place. They're half of them, like the Lakers, they're supposed to be good and they are not. And then there's other teams.
At what point do they make the decision that they're not?
Yes.
That's the drama of the season.
That's the drama of the season. You have other team like the Blazers, who everybody's like, well, the Blazers are going to be terrible. And then Damian Lillard's like, no, I'm not. I'm not going to be terrible.
No, Dame don't tank for nothing.
Nothing. So
Dame's a stone cold killer.
I love that guy. He's my favorite non-Spur. Yeah.
Same. Yeah. He's my favorite non-Maverick. You tell me
non-Maverick.
You can have anybody on the team in the NBA right now. Who do you want? It's Dame Lillard. And I don't care that he and Luka are both ball dominant guards. Give him to me. Like, we'll figure it out.
They can just take turns every other possession. Just go back and forth.
Stone cold.
Like, yeah, I love him.
He might be the clutchest player in the league.
He has to be. That's who I want. I want him to have the ball, and he's reliable. Like, anytime he can get on the court, like, he played for a half a season with a torn abdominal muscle and didn't even list it on the injury report.
He don't give a crap. No,
he's like, no, I'm gonna play.
And you know what I love about Dame too is, like, he's been in Portland all these years. Never a scandal. Never anything crazy. Never
wanted out.
Political opinion. Just trying to play ball.
Never asked out.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, exactly. And then the fun part is the teams in the middle, because those teams are going to start selling their guys off like in January.
Yeah.
Some of them are going to look
trade deadline stuff this year. Absolutely.
It's going to be crazy because some of these teams are going to be like, okay, we're not going to make it into the playoffs and we're not going to contend. So let's take our good players and get rid of them so that we can go straight to the bottom of the standings. And then you're going to have other teams that are going to be like, hey, let's wait for those teams who are going to start fire sailing all of their players. And let's go get them, and then let's get up.
Make a run for it. Yeah.
Like the Kings. The Kings are just waiting right now for somebody to be like, oh, we're going to tank. And then they're going to be like, okay, give us your players and we'll overpay you for them. And it's a weird time for the NBA. I've never seen anything like it. And I don't think I've seen this many teams like bail out on a season since Tim Duncan. Like, he was probably the last player that was like, I mean, even LeBron James.
You guys got him. So.
Yeah, and even like LeBron, I mean, he was a talent that was similar to this Wembanyama kid, but I don't think teams like he was from Akron. He was so Ohio.
Right.
I guess it was pretty like he's going to.
It felt like a foregone conclusion that he was going to be on the Cavs. Yeah. I will say this: Victor Wembanyama is transcendent.
He's unreal. He's unreal.
The guy 7'3".
I am against tanking, but he is unreal. He's not 7'3". He's 7'6".
He's huge.
And he's a guard. He does everything.
He handles the ball like, I mean, I was watching like videos of him, and they were like showing him like basically doing Steph Curry moves.
Yeah.
Like one of the premier ball handlers like in the history of the game. And he's handling the ball like Steph. He's shooting from all over the place, and he's a legitimate 9 inches taller than anybody else playing his position.
It's unreal. And he's 18 years old. And there's
a cheat code.
There's like this weird movement in like the last 3 years in the NBA where everybody's looking for like the Kevin Durant model, like a 6'10", 7 foot player who is super long but can dribble the ball and can shoot from everywhere. And you see a bunch of these guys like Kristaps Porzingis. Everybody's like, oh, he's going to be the next, KD or Mo Bamba, or there's always everybody's looking for that next prototype. Bol, who ironically is playing out of his mind in Orlando right now. You should go watch some Bol highlights of this year. They're really fun. And then you have like Chet Holmgren, right? Who just drafted by the Oklahoma City Thunder. Doesn't make it through 2 quarters of NBA Summer League, and he's broken his foot for the entire year. Yeah. And then you have Victor Wembanyama who comes in, and all those other guys, like if you remember this, you had Porzingis on your team for a little bit. Their body never quite bends the right way. It's almost like he wasn't given kneecaps, or he wasn't given elbows.
Tell me, he looks like a Bond villain.
Yeah. Yes. I always thought he might be like Ivan Drago's like uncle from like
I
Rocky
mean, he
Four or
just-
something.
Every time I look at him, I'm like, that man is holding a woman hostage somewhere and
He's-
sending ransom notes to 007.
He's got something going on.
Yes.
But this Victor Wembanyama kid, he doesn't move like that. He moves like Steph Curry.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, he
wild to
does.
watch him
It's like he has
like run around the perimeter. There's a video somewhere too where he's like below the free throw line. Like he's closer to the rim than he is the free throw line. And his defender goes to shoot a three, and this guy blocks it. He's like,
That's the thing. He plays D.
he plays defense like crazy, man. It's wild. I'm against tanking. I never want to win that way. I don't like it, but and especially now that they've flattened the lottery odds,
Yeah.
like there's only a 14. You can lose every game. You can go 0-82, and you only have a
still not get the pick. Yeah.
you only have a 14% chance, which people tell me all the time. Well, like the Spurs tanked for Duncan. I don't know why you're against tanking. I'm like, the Spurs tanked
Different
for
rules.
Duncan because if they got the worst record, they got the pick. And it's just not like that anymore. So I'm against like the risk of it, but I also completely understand like if there was ever going to be a year to tank.
All
Might
right.
be
So
this
my
year.
last NBA related comment, it has to do with this whole like the middle 10, right? Like who is going to look at their record halfway through the season and say, we got to trade a player, we got to trade our good players and tank so we get a chance to get this high pick, and who's going to say like, we got to get the good player so we can get ourselves to the playoffs and have a chance in the tournament. I think the Lakers are a middle of the pack team. And
Not right now, they're
my
not.
wife,
They're in sole possession of
well,
last place, but they
sure.
should be. Yes.
I mean, they, with everything that happened this offseason, I mean, I told Charity, I was like, yeah, you should expect not very much. Like the fact that they can't get rid of Russell Westbrook is a problem.
Is a big problem. They have
and
to give other assets just to get rid of
they
him.
can't get rid of the guy.
Yeah.
So, they're gonna right the ship at some point, but they're not gonna right the ship to the tune of, they're not gonna right the ship to the tune of a playoff spot. I don't think, at least
that's
not
not
like a high enough seed. So my question is Anthony Davis a deadline move?
I would trade him tomorrow. I don't think you can trade Russell Westbrook. You would be stupid to trade LeBron, even at whatever he is, 40.
Oh, yeah, who cares?
He's not quite there. I would trade Anthony Davis. But I also think they have a problem with him because he's not as valuable either. You can't rely on him to be there. He's perpetually injured. I think the most he's played is something like, I think the most games he's played is like 64 games since like 2011. Like this is not a reliable person.
But some team
will.
Yeah.
The Charlotte Hornets.
The Hornet, the Pelicans. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, wouldn't that be something if Anthony Davis went back to the Pelicans after all of
That'd
this?
be crazy.
But
yeah,
I can't see the Lakers. My prediction right now, write it down. I said on Thursday, October 27th, Anthony Davis doesn't finish the season with the Lakers, and the Lakers end up in the lottery.
I mean, I wouldn't. I would trade him immediately. He's your best trade piece. LeBron, just because of his age. Russell, you got to pay. You basically have to pay for somebody to take him. Anthony Davis is the only way you can get any kind of positive return. And they're gross, man. The Lakers are sad to watch right now, especially
it's brutal.
Especially watching like what Kobe took that team. I mean, Kobe took the team to the.
Did you watch the Legacy doc on Hulu?
No, Kobe's Legacy doc.
No, it's the Lakers. It's called Legacy, and it's basically.
Oh no! I haven't watched that yet.
Lakers.
It's the response to the. I think it's the response to the HBO documentary Showtime. It was like, well, we'll tell you the right way. No, but I do want to go back.
Dr. Buss was a saint.
Yeah, not quite.
Real nice guy.
Yeah,
I love that. Like they basically like made him this godlike figure. I mean, spoiler alert. I don't know if you know this or not. They made him this like godlike figure for the entirety of the series. And then after he dies, the next episode, they're like, and then this woman called us. And apparently she was my dad's and mom's daughter that they put up for adoption.
No.
Like, what? Yeah, Jerry Buss was
Not quite as legendary as we had hoped.
Not a saint, not a good Christian man. So, we have 7 minutes left on this recording. So
let's cut it and then do the last segment.
I think that's a great idea. Okay, let me end it and then I'll just send you a new one.
Okay, so enough basketball talk. I think you have a game that we want to do for the last little segment of this, and you texted me about it, and I was like, "Yes, I absolutely want to do this." So,
yes,
go ahead and set your rules and boundaries for this.
So, this is what we call the squad draft, the friend squad draft, and basically the rules are as such. There is the kind of girl squad meme that's out, like Taylor Swift had her thing with like her girls, like Carly Kloss and Selena Gomez and
I try not to pay
in the
attention
Bad
to
Blood
Taylor.
Video.
Yeah, I try not to pay attention to Taylor Swift because she hates men.
That sounds like a good topic for another episode. I'm surrounded by women who stayed up all night to listen to her album when it dropped at midnight. The girls that work for me.
I live with one.
It was rough. Thankfully I do not. Well, I work with several, so it was quite the next day after old Midnight's dropped. But the idea of the game is that you are drafting a friend squad. 5 guys, got to be dudes. Can be athletes. They have to be notable. Okay. So everybody from YouTube celebrity to TikTokers to athletes, actors, singers, whatever. And they don't have to have an assigned position. You can have 5 bigs if you want. You can do 5 gingers, whatever makes you happy. You got to have a reason for why you think they should be on your squad, why you'd want them on your squad. And we cannot overlap any. So it's draft rules. So
once a player's off the board, he's off the board.
Once they're off the board, they're off the board. So I will defer to you to take the first overall pick, and we'll get going from there.
First overall pick in this fringe draft. I actually thought about this, and I have a very simple answer. My number 1 overall pick, celebrity that I would want, Charles Barkley.
Wow.
Right off the bat.
That came out of left field for me.
It does not matter.
You could have taken him in a later round, and you probably could have got him at 5 because I would have never thought about Chuck. But it makes perfect sense.
He is a universal friend type. You could use him in a fight. You could use him on a night out on the town. I also think he would be hilarious in family environments. He would be great at a wedding.
I'm sure your mom would love him. Yeah.
Could be any number of things.
Just imagine. Here's one more rule.
Okay.
We share in-laws. We married sisters. Mm-hmm. We have to consider how they would fit if we brought them to a Flores family function.
Could you imagine Charles Barkley at a Flores family
function? 100%, and that's why this was a great pick for you.
That's my number 1 right there.
Top notch. Okay, my number 1 is probably a little more conventional, a little closer to our age. But I think he would just be like, let me say this. I hesitated picking him because of how good looking he is. I thought that it would really make things for me as the leader of the squad a little insecure. But he just seems like a really cool dude that I'd want to chill with. My number 1 pick is Ryan Reynolds.
Oh man. See, you snaked him. That's why I should have taken Ryan number 1.
I just thought did you see the video him announcing Deadpool 3 with Hugh Jackman?
It's so good. It's so good.
So good. We can make so many good videos together. I feel like my mother-in-law would love him.
Are you watching charming. Welcome to Wrexham?
I started. I haven't watched the whole thing, but I'm episode 2 right now.
It's fantastic. I would,
and it makes it that was what sealed it for me. So, a little backstory: I saw a TikTok that kind of did this whole thing, and then I watched Wrexham, and I was like, Ryan Reynolds, my number 1 pick, 100%, without a doubt. I want to be that guy's best friend.
Yeah, he's easy.
Hit
Is this a snake draft?
We're back and forth.
Okay, back and forth. Okay, yeah. My number 2 pick in the squad draft here, Samuel L. Jackson.
Wow. You really are shooting older guys. I mean,
I'm trying to be the young energy bug here, but I've got some names late in the draft that I'm coming
now
out
see
here.
this is something about it that you got to consider the chemistry on your team as well. You got to consider like, are Samuel L. Jackson, Charles Barkley going to get along? I feel like
they're already friends.
Yeah, and how do you fit in? Like, what is your role in a group like that? Like, I told you I was kind of insecure about picking Ryan because I want to be the leader of my own squad, but like, he's just can't miss. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
I feel like right
like
now,
step and play. Like, we're just going to be like there's one of us that's clearly the leader, but like also if I need to take a day off, like Ryan's got this. That's how I feel about it.
I feel like right now with the three of us, myself, Samuel, and Chuck, we have the ability to keep the good times rolling, whatever environment we're in. And that's important. Is if you're going to roll with the crew, you got to have the energy. And so I look at that as we could all banter and break off of that energy. Plus Samuel L. Jackson, both of these guys, actually, they're going to be somebody that'll throw hands if you ever get into that situation. So
it's so true.
Samuel L. Jackson is my number 2 pick.
Wow.
I'm writing these down in my phone. That's
good. My number 2 might surprise you a bit, and you might think, how is this guy gonna coexist? How does he get along with Steven Shelton and Ryan Reynolds? My number 2 is Kendrick Lamar.
Kendrick Lamar.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go ahead and explain that. Talk it out for me. Why Kendrick Lamar?
So
Ryan Reynolds and Kendrick Lamar, you're kind of going the opposite way.
Well, but I'm into diversity. I'm into a well-rounded group here. Now, see where you kind of put yourself in a certain category. I think there's no situation that between me, Ryan, and Kendrick that we don't have something to talk about with somebody. First of all, I think I regard talent highly. I do think he is maybe the best American rapper in the last very long time. Now, I will say, let me just say this: until this week, if we'd have played this game a week ago, Kanye West would have had this slot.
Wow.
I know, but I really wanted a rapper. I didn't want. I thought about Jay-Z and just all that entails, but I felt like he's got his own squad. I feel like he doesn't need me, and what do I bring to Hove that he doesn't already have?
That's true.
Kendrick's a devout Christian, according to Wikipedia. So
according to Wikipedia. Oh, that's good.
I just think he's a chill guy. Super talented. I'm all about being around geniuses. I feel like I sort of have like an iron sharpens iron situation. And now not that we all agree on everything, but I like the diversity of thought, but I really like just the idea of being around a bunch of like really high level smart people who bring something unique to the squad, because you got to remember, we're not all hanging out all the time, right? Like, it could just be me and Kendrick. It could just be me and Ryan. It could just be you and Chuck. It could just be you and Sam. So there's a lot to really unpack there.
Yeah.
I just think it's a good pick for me. I'm gonna make a last minute addition. I'm gonna give us a 6th man. So yeah.
Which would actually be a squad of 7, right?
That's true, because of us.
I support it.
Which seven is the perfect number. So
all right, back to me.
That's you. That's number 3.
Okay, well, I'm really glad to hear that you took Kendrick Lamar, because I, for my 3rd pick, am taking Kanye West.
Wow.
I'm really excited to see and how you kicked him out of your draft pool. I have placed him in my draft pool because of his behavior over the last 2 weeks. I think Kanye West would be a great addition to the Steven, Samuel, and Chuck team, because Kanye will be the guy that puts Chuck and Samuel L. Jackson at their best. It will be somebody that they can consistently roast.
I
And
didn't
he
see
can
this
be
coming. I'm not gonna lie to you. I did not see this coming.
he will be the outcast of the group.
Wow.
I was gonna have Ryan Reynolds in this group. You have to understand. It was gonna be Chuck, Samuel, and Ryan Reynolds.
Everybody needs a guy that kind of the butt of the joke in the friend group, I guess.
And this was gonna be Kanye West.
I just hope you don't end up on Instagram when you make him the butt of your joke. All right, my third pick. I want to point out also that there's a theme to your picks that I don't know if you've noticed or not.
I haven't even picked it up yet. But I have another one for you, so it's all right.
Okay. My third pick is the most popular man in the world, potentially the future president of the United States. It's Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Oh my God. Okay, go ahead and explain it to you.
K. Lamar, Ryan Reynolds, and The Rock. There's a lot there. Number one, I've been a fan of his since I was Steve Shelton writing on pro wrestling message boards. I remember when he debuted as Rocky Maivia. My wife's a huge fan of The Rock. Just anything The Rock does, she's really into. I feel like he's hilarious. I feel like our squad is really values humor. But the Rock is the kind of guy who he's a good hang. You just look at him and he's a good hang. I also need some accountability in the gym. I need somebody who's going to, give me a call and say, bro, it's been 3 weeks. You got to get back in there. And I see Dwayne as that guy for me. I see Dwayne as that guy. Also, I kind of wonder if like his relationship with Kevin Hart kind of makes Kev like an honorary member. He's he's not on my list, but
at minimum a mascot.
For sure.
Minimum a mascot. Okay. My fourth pick in this draft is this was going to be my last pick, and so I was hoping to impress you, but all right.
Oh,
Matthew McConaughey.
Okay, he was on my list.
Matthew McConaughey.
And I gotta admit,
Matthew McConaughey.
I'm looking through my list here, and I'm kind of making some changes. Obviously, like my original list had Kanye, my new list has Kendrick. But every iteration of this list I made, Matthew McConaughey was on there. So
he's got to. I don't know anybody right now who is as whatever that guy does is cool to me.
It is.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't. People don't. Maybe this generation of people don't remember, but this guy once got arrested for playing the bongos naked.
Yeah.
And now he is speaking at the White House over gun control legislation. He's like the official face of UT football.
He almost ran for governor, I think.
He almost ran for governor. I think he might be president one day. I wouldn't put that past him. It's Matthew McConaughey, and he's just the coolest. I can listen to his voice all day long. I love him.
I get it.
Matthew McConaughey.
Wow, that's
I threw you for a loop there, didn't I?
It did. I'm gonna have to kind of regroup a little bit.
We went Charles Barkley, Samuel L. Jackson, Kanye West, and Matthew McConaughey. That's a pretty terrifying squad.
It did. All right. I'm gonna make a pivot here to a guy that I think is like just everyman cool, just seems like just the chillest chill. Super versatile as an actor, funny, smart.
If you say Harry Styles.
Oh no, I don't acknowledge that he's an actor. He's an Avenger. Which I think gets me. I'm really thinking about I gotta get guys in my squad who also have connections that can give me some fringe friendships. Yeah. But of all the guys who are in the MCU, I think that he is by far just the coolest to hang out with, and that's Paul Rudd.
Paul Rudd, that's solid. That's very solid.
I just consider him to be just the chillest.
Nervous.
Yeah, I had some things you can't have dated Taylor Swift. That's actually on my list.
You've got specific rules out of this.
Yeah, and that was a big one. Because like our squad doesn't need drama. You know what I mean? Like we don't need like a song written about you. So that immediately got rid of Jake Gyllenhaal. John Mayer, who I actually really, really love John Mayer. But that just wasn't it. It wasn't it. I'm not gonna deal with his drama.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you. So Paul Rudd, that's pretty good. So what are you at right now? I have you Ryan Reynolds, 4. Kendrick Lamar, The Rock, and Paul Rudd.
Yeah.
I'm currently at Charles Barkley, Samuel L. Jackson, Kanye West, Matthew McConaughey, and we are going to get a 6th man. Is that correct?
We are going to get a 6th man. Yeah.
Okay, good. So because you took Paul Rudd, I'm going to take my 6th man and I'm going to move him up and hope that my 6th man or my 5th pick actually is available in the last round. But my 5th person in this friends group, Will Ferrell.
Yeesh, that's good. That's really good.
It's important to me to make this pick now because I have Samuel L. Jackson, Will Ferrell, Charles Barkley, who are going to be the 3 comics or the 3 pieces of funny to sit around. I think my most serious person on my team right now is Kanye West. Although I don't know that I would say he's serious, but I don't think I've ever seen that guy laugh. And Matthew will keep everybody even keeled. But I don't know how to have
he's kind of the glue. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
I don't know how to have a bad time with Will Ferrell around. I just don't feel like that would be
so true.
Possible. So my 5th pick here is Will Ferrell.
That's good. Okay, so I felt the need to move over into athlete. Like I felt like you got to have a guy that's got hookups to get you tickets everywhere. You got to have a guy who, brings some
you already
swag.
have The Rock to get you tickets to everywhere.
That's fair, but like I need like a guy who's in the league, like just his face is his ticket. You know what I mean? Like that guy.
You're gonna pick LeBron, aren't you?
Man, here's the thing.
I knew it. You can't help yourself. You love him. You've always loved him. I know this about you.
If Kobe were alive,
I know it.
It would be Kobe.
I know it.
But I'm not going to pick LeBron because there is a guy who, though he is retired, I consider him to be the coolest, just chillest, most recognizable of all. And that's the big Diesel himself, Shaq
Diesel, which is interesting because you've now taken opposition from Chuck. Now, this is an interesting move. You've now distracted Charles Barkley from my team.
By a guy who's bigger and stronger and better than him.
I think that's a
Dr. Shaquille O'Neal.
You've thrown a wrench into my team by doing this. And
I told you I like smart guys.
It's a good pick.
It's super solid, right?
That one took me by surprise. I think I was a little caught off guard by that. I
want to say that I was going to go for LeBron. I know you thought LeBron was it, and I thought about it. I did. But
wow, what a dynamic! If you had taken LeBron, I would have had Charles Barkley to basically minimize him. He would have mocked him every stretch of the way, like he always does. But now you took Shaq.
Yeah.
All right. So this is my 6th man.
This is your bonus pick. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I have to do this because he's my favorite stand-up comedian of all time. And I don't know how I can pass up on this, even though I shouldn't take this pick because of your last pick. But I just respect him so much as a person too, because he left $50 million just sitting there on the table with Comedy Central about 15 years ago. And it's the greatest stand-up comic who probably ever lived. Dave Chappelle.
Can't blame you.
Dave Chappelle will be my final pick.
Can't blame you.
And I feel really confident in that to finalize my squad here.
That's good. That's really good. I debated over this last one a little bit. In fact, I still was kind of looking at a different option or 3 on my phone. But it's only fitting that I bring it back to the thing that is most meaningful to me.
Donald Trump.
Can you imagine? You've got Kanye and I've got Donald. Our inter squad meetings would be phenomenal.
Would be off the rails.
No, this is a guy I toyed with picking first overall, to be honest with you.
Wow.
The reason I didn't is because he just kind of gives boring a little bit. But I think he also gives stable, super creative, a genius, and a part of the greatest TV comedy in history. It's John Krasinski.
I don't like your pick.
You don't like the Krasinski pick?
I think that was a throwaway, man.
Really?
John I think Krasinski? You could have done better.
I feel like Krasinski and I would be best friends.
Shaq at 5 was incredible.
100% feel like we would be best friends. Is he going to steal the show? No, but I've got Shaq. I've got Ryan Reynolds. I got Paul Rudd. Do you have some honorable mentions? Some guys that you thought about?
Well, I just want to throw one more piece into this. I want to do Teen Moms.
Teen Moms. Okay, but do they have to be like mom age or
no?
Like,
it's a teen mom.
Just like, or is it Teen Mom or is it like tomboy chick that's part of the squad?
No, Team Mom. This is the one that's gonna
like Angela Lansbury. Like rest in peace.
We're not saying any names.
Rest in peace. Okay,
but it's Team Mom. She's in charge of washing the uniforms, snacks, setting up birthday parties, making arrangements for transportation.
Okay, that changes my mindset.
And I will let you have the pick for Team Mom.
Gosh, I might need. Do you have somebody in mind already?
Yeah, but I want to get.
I got nobody though. So
mine is so good. I want to give you the chance to steal it. I don't want you to feel like I'm taking advantage of you because it was my idea.
Gosh, that's wow.
I know. While you're doing that, I'll talk about some honorable mentions that were left off of my list. I have 3 of them. I'm surprised at myself for not putting Eminem on this list.
Really? I was surprised. I would have. I was toying with Michael B. Jordan instead of Kendrick Lamar.
I'm glad you went with Kendrick. I think that's a better choice.
Yeah, me too.
I also think that I would have said another viable candidate for this, just to make it hilariously funny, would have been Donald Trump. I think that would have been a hilarious addition to this particular squad.
Okay, I've got my mom.
Do you have your mom?
I wonder if it's who you were going to say.
I hope it's not. I'm giving you the opportunity.
You're gonna either this is who you were going to say, or you're going to hate me for this pick.
Yeah, I know.
The Team Mom.
Yep.
For the Shelton squad.
By the way, there's only one right answer.
It's Kris Jenner.
Yes! Oh no!
Yes.
That was the entire point of this exercise.
Yes.
I should have got it.
Yes. Oh. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. There's no one better.
That's the right answer.
Kim, you're doing amazing, sweetie. Like there's no one better.
I just wanted her to be us. I just wanted her to be back on Kanye's team.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm willing to make a trade. If you've got somebody that you're thinking like, man, I really need Chris. I'm open.
Well, I have a solid backup because I need somebody who is just as crazy, just as obsessive, somebody who is just as annoying, and somebody that just as many people don't like her, but she's still a rock star at her job. And for me, that's pretty easy. I mean, who else could you think of other than Team Mom, Kamala Harris?
Here's the thing. I legitimately considered Michelle Obama before I thought about Kris Jenner. And And if this was a 10-person draft, Barack's probably going on my
he's
team.
going in there.
He's definitely a
going in
top
that
10
team.
guy for me. I've just always said, I've said this for years. Like, politics aside, Barack Obama is like the guy who you want to date his daughter in high school, just like because he seems so cool.
Yeah, easily. I mean, but he was
it's-
also the president, so that's fair.
That
I
I
also-
mean, even if he wasn't the president, like, just I feel like I'd want to go to like hang out at a girl's house. So I can shoot hoops
Yeah.
in the driveway with
Oh,
her
yeah.
dad Barry. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He just
My
seems
third
cool.
my third honorable mention was going to be W.
Yeah, W's great.
I think he would have been a good time too.
I'm a
But-
big W fan. I really am.
So let's just run through these again, just for our listeners. If anybody is still listening at this point in the show,
I'm getting geared up. I could give you 5 more picks now that we're into it.
I think I'm a little picked out here, but so your team is Ryan Reynolds, Kendrick Lamar, Dwayne The Rock Johnson, Paul Rudd, Shaquille O'Neal, with honorable mention or sixth man John Krasinski, and your team mom is Christian.
It's so good. That's so good.
Versus Charles Barkley, Samuel L. Jackson, Kanye West, Matthew McConaughey, Will Ferrell, Dave Chappelle.
Kamala Harris.
That's bizarre. I don't know how that's gonna work for you.
I don't know how we got this. We're gonna have to find some moving parts. Well,
I
Kamala will just laugh at everybody.
I also considered Randall Park for an Asian representation. Randall Park. Are you familiar with Randall Park?
Is that the Crazy Rich Asians guy?
I don't know if he's in Crazy Rich Asians. I think everybody who's Asian's in Crazy Rich Asians, but he's a cool guy.
I just stereotyped a whole bunch of people that I
Yeah. DJ Khaled was also an option for me.
Oh man.
I want people to know where my thought process was. Jason Momoa, I thought about that.
Oh, he would have been a good one.
I thought about a lot. Robert Downey Jr. I thought about him.
Brad Pitt.
I did too. I thought about Michael Cera, just because I was really into those movies at the time.
That would have been a good one.
Yeah, Andy Samberg, another one. I thought maybe would
really
be cool. These are all guys who, they're my B team, to be honest with you.
Sure.
Whatever. Like, they take them or leave them. Tom Hiddleston, Loki. I thought that might be cool.
I don't know who that is.
I considered Keanu for a hot minute.
Keanu's a really cool dude.
Here's who I think would be in my, and maybe this is next episode, like, who would be in your enemy squad? Like, who are the guys that, like, absolutely you don't want on, like, they would be your mortal enemies?
I think we have a
high
topic.
school.
I think we have a draft for our next show.
100%. Tune in
Harry
next
Styles.
time. God,
He's
it's
gotta
pretty
be
much
on this.
all of One Direction for me. John Legend. I can't stand John Legend.
Pete Davidson.
Let's
not do this.
Yeah.
Oh, Devin Booker. Yeah, we're gonna get carried away with this. This is
All right.
I'm looking forward to this.
time. It's gonna be great.
This was a great episode. It's good to be back on.
It is good to be back. Are we gonna do this next week or the week after?
I think we
or-
should. I think we should try and do it next Thursday. Yeah.
All right. I'm down. All right. Well,
If you've listened
your
this far,
days-
we really appreciate it, guys. Thank you. And don't forget, you can always follow me at the Hailstone. You can follow Steven at Steven Shelton. Follow the show, the two Stevens, and you can email us at the Steven and Steven Show at gmail.com. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe and tell us how good we're doing. We take tips and feedback, but we prefer the tips.
Sure.
And that's the end of it. So till next time.
is
Okay, bye.